guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Ray, and in today's video we're going to be doing a tier ranking of all the books I've read this year. As of filming this, I've read about 33 books this year, and I personally enjoy watching tier ranking videos and seeing people's reactions because sometimes you totally forget a book you've read not that long ago, and then there's some books that you just literally can't stop thinking about. So I thought this could be a fun video to do based on all the books I've read this year, which there are some handfuls that I adore and are now my top favorites of all time, and then there's some books that I'm pretty sure I forgot I even read them. All right, enough of me yapping. Let's dive right in and get to ranking. Okay guys, I have 5 categories that I've made. My first tier being still thinking about it. These are books that I read and to this day I cannot stop thinking about it. These are my new all-time favorite books. The next one is love, but not all of it. Like there were some parts that I really enjoyed, and then there's like a few moments where I was like, I could have lived without it. So these are like the 4, 4.5, 4.75, maybe even some 3s star ratings. These are those kind of books. The next one's just entertaining. It was an entertaining book. Like I enjoyed it. It's not necessarily an all-time favorite, but I did have fun reading it. The next one's forgettable, as in I don't remember reading it. Truly, it was forgettable, and that's as simple as that. And then the next one is could have gone reading without it. Like I literally could have just not read the book and been totally fine. So these are books basically I did not enjoy. So now let's get into the rankings. These are completely out of order. They're not in chronological order of how I read them this year, so keep that in mind. So the first book that we have here is Love Hypothesis. Now this kind of might be a controversial take, but I think I'm just gonna put this as entertaining. Like I enjoyed this book. I didn't necessarily like 5-star over it. Like it was just fine, but I can understand why the girlies love it, and I do appreciate the woman in STEM storyline. Like I really didn't love that, but I just didn't fully believe the chemistry between our main couple in this book. I did listen to the audiobook, so maybe that's why I didn't, 5-star this book, but it was entertaining and I would recommend this to friends. And this was also my first Ali Hazelwood book, so I definitely need to explore some of her other works, but for now, I'm just gonna leave that one in entertaining. Okay, Ruthless Vows. I'm gonna put this one in loved, but not all of it. So I loved, and I still think about, Divine Rivals. I thought that book was perfection, and this is the sequel to that book and this duology. And personally for me, Ruthless Vows leaned a little bit too heavily in the world building aspect, and I kind of think if Rebecca Ross had done a better job of maybe balancing it between the two books, and this whole duology would have been fantastic. Don't get me wrong, this book is still like a 4.5 or something for me. Like it's still really high up there. There's just some aspects where I was like, okay, it's fine. Did I need this? No, but like I get why it's there in the story. So that's why for me it's in the loved but not all of it section. Okay, Powerless. So like I have such mixed feelings on this book. Like I think I'm gonna have to put it at entertaining for what it is. Like it's so silly, ridiculous, light, fluffy read. This book came out when I was a teenager or even in middle school. I would have eaten this book up. Like I would have been obsessed with it. But given that it's a little repetitive, I can't put it in the loved but not all of it section. Like it's just not quite there yet. If it was a little bit refined, it could be there, but for what it's worth, I think this book and Reckless, they're both really entertaining reads, and for that, I'll give credit where credit's due. Under Your Spell, I am gonna put this at loved, but not all of it. I thought this was such a fun read, and I was totally taken by surprise. I read this as an advanced copy, and I thought it was going to be really ridiculous and not that great, but there was actually a lot of substance to this book, and I would recommend everyone read this. It was such a fun romance book with a little bit of magical realism in it, great sisterhood relationship in there as well, so I really enjoyed that one, and would recommend checking it out. None of This Is True. I'm gonna be really honest, I could have gone without reading this one. I don't understand the hype around this book. I thought it was very predictable, and I totally guessed all of the twists, and I thought it was boring. I just like don't get why people are so obsessed with it. I've read a few other Lisa Jewell books that I think are better than this one, but this one just didn't do it for me. That's gonna be a hot take, and I'm sorry about it, but it's just not for me. The next book is This Time Next Year. Ooh, I I don't know where to put this. I think I'm gonna put this in entertaining. I read this for book club and this was a great selection to read and I remember having fun. I think that's the problem. I can't put it in loved, is that I don't remember all the details. I did see though, I think in the UK, this is a movie and I'm waiting for them to release it in the US because I would love to watch it. Okay, this next one is What the River Knows. And I'm also gonna put this one at entertaining. There was a lot of fun magical realism elements in here, as well as like a historical fantasy kind of twist going with like romance kind of shoved in. I just felt like there was a lot going on in this book, and if it would have maybe picked one or two rather than trying to do as much as it was trying to do, it would have been better and I would have loved it more. I don't really have anything negative to say about it. There was just a lot going on in a short amount of time. I will say the last like 100 pages of this book flew by because so much was happening, and it did leave on a big cliffhanger, so I probably will be picking up the next book in this. I think it's a duology, so I love that. I love a duology. So I'll probably pick up the next one, and I hope the next one maybe is a little bit more fine-tuned and cleaned up. Okay, these next two books, I'm gonna put them together because I think they're a packaged deal, but A River Enchanted and A Fire Endless. Oh my God. I need more people to read these books. As you know, I love these books. If you watched my mid-year check-in video, these were the books that I would not shut up about. So I love the Elements of Cadence duology. These two books from Rebecca Ross are absolutely fantastic. I think A River Enchanted is on the slower side, but there's so much setup that the second book, A Fire Endless, just comes in with like a wow, jam-packed, like it is so entertaining and fast-paced and a lot happens that I think it makes book one that much better. So like you can't have one without the other. Fun adult fantasy to read. It's kind of a folk Scottish kind of vibes in there, so going with that, and it's almost an ensemble cast. We do have our main female and our main male character, but there are some other characters that you do follow along with, and to this day I still think about the ending of A Fire Endless. I think about these characters all the time, what they're doing, and just like I want to catch up with them. So for that, they are in, I'm still thinking about it, and I will probably forever be thinking about these characters. Next I think is Done and Dusted. This is entertaining. And that's like all that I have to say to it. I thought there was going to be a little bit more like substance to it, but this is just a funnel, spicy romance book with a Western setting. So for that, it was fun and it gave what it needed to give. Serpents and the Wings of Night, and then I think the one is A Starcursed King. Basically these two books and this series, I'm gonna put them in loved, but not all of it, because these books felt like a fever dream, okay? Like I was reading these books and I was just like, is this like real? Like what is going on right now in this storyline? But I ate it up. Like they were so entertaining. I flew through them. If you are looking for two books to like quickly check off, or if you're in a reading slump, I would definitely check out these two books. The writing was great. It was super easy to read but well crafted, and I did like the first book more than the second book. I'm curious though how the rest of the series will hold up, because we will be following different characters and exploring like different courts in this world. So if you like vampires, I would definitely check out these books. A Summer Romance. This book was entertaining. This was my second book from Annabelle Monaghan. I think I'm butchering her last name, but this was my second book from her. I loved Nora Goes Off Script. I thought that book was so fun and magical. The perfect length. I will give Annabelle this. She writes the perfect length romance novels. Not too long, not too short, just what you need. This one did deal with grief a little bit more so than some other of her stories, I believe. So it was entertaining. It just wasn't as, I think I had too high of a bar set when going into this book. So I'm just gonna leave it in entertaining. Boyfriend Candidate, this has to go in Still Thinking About It. This was actually a reread for me this year. I was kind of in a slump and I thought about this book and was like, obviously I need to read it again. And it was perfection. I love Ashley Winstead's writing. This and In My Dreams I Hold a Knife are two of my favorite books of all time, and this one held up. It's witty, funny, steamy, ridiculous, but at the same time very fun and realistic. It's set in Austin, Texas. If you are interested in reading this book, just know it's a political romance. I would say it's not that heavy on the politics, but it is an integral part to the story. So just keep that in mind. The next book that I have here is Fate, Inked and Blood. And I'm gonna put this in loved, but not all of it. I thought at some moments it was slow. Like the pacing just didn't feel consistent throughout the story. And the first chunk of it, I thought took me a minute to really get into this world. What are these characters like? What's the dialogue? That kind of thing. So I didn't love those aspects, but the ending, I mean, I saw it coming, but I still didn't see it coming. Do you know what I mean? So really loved it though, and I'm very eager for the next book to come out. I'm totally blanking on this, but this is a V.E. Schwab book, A Darker Shade of Magic, maybe? I'm gonna be real, I'm gonna put this in forgettable. I forget that I've read this book this year, and I'm super bummed about it because I really like the covers of this little trilogy. I think it's trilogy. I think they're really cool covers and they're funky and they look good on the shelf, but I just like didn't really care about this entire book. I thought the premise super cool, like the different colored Londons, basically like different worlds, how you can portal back and forth, super fascinating. But I just didn't really love our main female character. She kind of got on my nerves a little too much, so for that, I forget about this book a lot. Okay, another Sophie Cousins book, The Good Part. I'm also kind of gonna put this in forgettable, not for a bad reason. Like, I definitely enjoyed this one, but I forget that I've read this book, and I feel like that's not a good sign. I did read this one for book club as well, and that's all I have to say about it. That's it. Like, it's not a bad book. It just, like, is forgettable for me out of all the books I've read this year. All right, Hannah Brown. Sorry, girly. I'm putting you in could have gone without reading it. It just was, like, not for me, unfortunately. I went in with very low expectations. I got an advanced reader's copy of this one as well, which thank God, because I'm happy I didn't spend money on this. This book was not for me. I didn't love the cheating trope in it, and our characters felt so immature for how old they were, and I just didn't really love it. So for that, I wish I just didn't read it. I could have gone without reading it, but if you love Hannah Brown, you will probably love this book because she includes so many Easter eggs from her time as a bachelor. All the Dangerous Things. I'm gonna put this in loved, but not all of it. I guessed the twist, or one of the twists, halfway through the book, but then there was like a few surprises still at the end. It just like wasn't as good as A Flicker in the Dark for me. It didn't hit the same, but I still really enjoyed it. And I would recommend this as a thriller to read and check out. This Summer of Broken Rules. This one was a reread for me, and I'm also going to put this one in love, but not all of it. As much as I love this book is so silly and ridiculous. It's such a YA book that I just know like a middle school me would have loved this book. There's just some elements in there that I just like don't fully care about. Like it's like some subplots with her friends where I'm like, yeah, let's skip it and let's move on. Come on now. But it's such a fun book. It's a perfect book to read in the summer. So if you have this on your TBR, make sure to save it for the summertime. Either read it right now or read it next year because it is such a great way to kick off summer, or if you need some more summery vibes, definitely read this one. People We Meet on Vacation. Now this might be shocking, but I'm gonna put love, but not all of it. I am just not really a friends to lovers girl. I respect it, but this just wasn't for me, and this was a reread for me as well. Wow. I've done a lot of rereading this year. That's kind of crazy, but I also read this one for book club, and it was my friend's first time reading it, and this just wasn't as enjoyable. Like, I just found Poppy to be a little bit annoying, as well as Alex to be a little bit annoying, and it just wasn't for me, and that's okay. So for that, People We Meet on Vacation out of my Emily Henry ratings, they're at the bottom. They're at the bottom. So like, I love them, and I appreciate the story they tell. And overall, I think the writing's really great. It's just like, there's some moments where I just like don't, like really, like, I don't know. It just didn't do it fully for me, like as a 5-star read. So, oh my gosh, Just for the Summer. Heck yeah, we're still thinking about them. I'm still thinking about Justin to this day. I love this book. I love this world. I think this is Abby Jimenez's best book yet. It's just sheer perfection, and I wouldn't change a single thing about it. Okay, funny story. I'm also gonna put still thinking about it. I'm still thinking about Miles and Daphne. I think they are super cute, and I'm tired of people shitting on them and people saying that Miles isn't the attractive main male character. Like, shut up. I'm picturing Dylan O'Brien as him. So like, chill out. The Maidens, I'm gonna put in forgettable. This book was unfortunately not a hit for me. It was disappointing. I did love The Silent Patient, so I did kind of have higher expectations going into this one, and maybe that was my problem. I don't know. The dark academia vibes, though, were perfection. I did really love them. It's just like the characters in the storyline, I just didn't care. Like, I found it really predictable. So it was just on the forgettable side, if I'm being honest. Tom Lake, I will say the only reason why I'm putting this in entertaining is that the audiobook is narrated by Meryl Streep. And for that, entertaining alone. Like, that is pure great entertainment. So if you are going to read this book, you need to do it the audiobook because Meryl does it so much justice. And I have a feeling if I read this physically and not you with the audiobook, I probably would have DNF'd this book. It was fine. Like, I don't know why people love it so much. Like, it was fine. Like, it was just a 3-star read for me, basically. So yeah. Okay, this might be a twist, a turn of events. For this next book, I'm gonna put it and still thinking about it. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just like the summer vibes, how fun this book was, and how much of a different like stance or just like a different take on Carly's writing was. This one just was so fun from Carly Fortune, and I'm still thinking about it low-key. Like, I'm thinking about Prince Edward Island and just like wanting to book a trip there. So for right now, that's where that book is living. Who knows how long it will be there, but I really enjoyed it. Were there some things I could have lived without? Yeah, like the miscommunication, silly, but it was still entertaining. Like, I really liked it. Okay, Judy Blume, Summer Sisters. I am conflicted on where to put this because it was fine. Was it entertaining? I don't know. Like, I found these characters very insufferable at times and I didn't love them, but they also felt so real and the writing was great. I think I'm gonna put it in entertaining for now, mostly because it felt so realistic and it felt like real life and it felt like, you know, we were on a reality show following these people, and it was messy and chaotic while also like heartbreaking and sad and just very honest reflection on friendship and growing up with someone who you've known since childhood. So yeah, I'll put it in entertaining. That was also my first Judy Blume book, so it didn't disappoint. The writing was phenomenal. I think it's marketed as YA, which I don't think that's a YA book, but yeah. Okay, the next book here, we have the first 3 books and the Mortal Instruments. Look, okay, look, I'm putting them in loved, but not all of it, okay? And I think we can all agree on what I'm not loving all of in this book. 3 books, okay? Clary and Chase, all right? Look, we're not gonna talk about it, but damn, these books are so entertaining. These were also a reread for me. I've only read the first 3 books and this whole universe, so I'm very eager to explore the rest of them with fresh eyes, but these were fun. This was like nostalgia lane for me. These are books that I literally read in middle school when they were coming out. Reckless. Look, I said it about Powerless and I'm gonna say it the same for Reckless. It's entertaining, okay? Go in with very low expectations and you will be surprised and thrilled and have a fun time. If you're going in expecting a lot of plot in this book, you're gonna be severely upset, okay? All vibes, no plot, okay? So for that, it's really entertaining. There's some fun quotes in there to pull, and that's about it. So I'm curious to see how the next one will go. You with a View. I'm gonna put this one at still thinking about it. I read this book recently and I'm so happy I finally did. Obsessed. Why aren't more people talking about this book? So fun. The characters were so dynamic. It was just really fun seeing like these former high school rivals reconnect, and then also love letters. Like, overall, this book was so fun and a great romance to read, a really strong romance. So very happy with it. And then the next one that I have is the last book, I believe, and that is the only one left. And I'm gonna put in, where am I gonna put this? I'm still thinking about it, to be honest. Like, I loved this book from Riley Sager. I think this is one of his best books yet. And it was really entertaining. The plot twists were plot twisting. I guessed some of them partially, but then he blew it out of the water and they became even bigger plot twists, and they all seem reasonable. They weren't out of left field, and there was no ghost involvement, okay? So like, they just felt very realistic plot twists that could happen in this world. So for that, I'm still thinking about it, and I cannot recommend that Riley Sager book anymore. Like, it's definitely one of my top favorites from him. Alrighty friends, that's gonna be it for today's video. I feel like I've literally yapped and yapped and yapped and yapped about all the books that I've read this year. But like I always say, if you've read any fun or 5-star reads recently, please let me know in the comments below. I'm always looking to add to my TBR, and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you'll be notified of when I post next time, and I'll catch you on my next video. Bye guys.